Okay, welcome to today's weekly market analysis. And what we're going to be doing is talking about what happened last week in the market. We're going to check the news calendar and we're going to be looking at some instruments for this week to try to get some directional bias and, of course, make some pips at the end of the day, right? So let us start with what happened last week in the market. And we are going to, first of all, dive into the DXY, which happens to be the USD index. And truth be told, last week was rather dull. Last week was one where the scalpers were having their way as the market kept on ranging. As you can see from here, you can see the market kept on going sideways. And this happened more or less from Monday to Friday last week. So the market was rather dull last week, to say the least. And based on this happening on the USD index, obviously, if you look at the likes of the Euro USD, let me just drag this in of Euro USD here. You notice that we had the sideways market here at the bottom here after a sharp fall from 2 weeks ago. Last week was sideways. And then GBPUSD, the same thing. By the time you look at some certain instruments, gold and the rest of them, you notice that we had a lot of sideways action last week. And of course, this came from 2 weeks ago, where we had the high impact news from the CPI that made the dollar index, the DXY, to appreciate heavily, as you can see over here on the chart, right? So most times when you have a strong move, you tend to have a form of range consolidation before it breaks out either to the upside or to the downside. So which way is it going to be this week? That is the question that we are going to be asking ourselves. But before then, let's check the news calendar. It's always good to check the news calendar to find out what is happening in the market. And of course, the news calendar is where we're going to be looking at the likes of Forex Factory. We're going to be looking at the likes of Forex Factory under the news calendar. So we're going to switch over to the Forex Factory right now and then see what is happening for the week. Here is the calendar for last week. If you have a look over here, where we have last week, April 14th to April 28th, and we didn't have much for the dollar. The market was, as we said, was sideways. But what are we going to be having this week? If you look at the calendar for this week, which happens to be April 21st to April 27th, of course, you know, April 21st is Sunday, and the market normally opens Sunday by 10 p.m., also depending on where you are in the world based on your time zones. But if you look over here, based on the calendar on Monday, we do not have any high impact news further for the dollar, US dollar, or euros or pounds and so on, right? Then we start having some high impact news from Tuesday, April 23rd. So we might probably see some action, some good volatility coming into the market for euros, pounds, and the dollar. And if you have a look at the news headline, you see that most of them are what? Manufacturing PMI, flash, and also services. Manufacturing PMI and services PMI. We might as well have some action right from Tuesday. And of course, Mondays are usually known to be slow. So a quick advice for traders, always ensure you check the calendar to find out what's happening in the market. Very key, very, very important for us all to take note of. Now, we're going to be diving into the DXY, which happens to be the USD index, the dollar index. And we're going to find out what we have for this new week. And we're going to first of all start that with the 4 hours time frame because it is rather interesting based on what we have over here. You remember we talked about the dollar index from the hourly time frame where we were looking at this range over here. And then if you look at it from the 4 hours time frame, the question now is, what do you observe? What can you see? You notice that what we can see is what? What we can see is range. You can see a wedge at the end of the day, right? So as you can see this wedge, the thing we now need to ask ourselves is, which way is this wedge going to break? Is it going to break to the upside or is it going to break to the downside? This is the wedge clearly, as you can see right here, triangle. So it's inside. And then the more it tends to consolidate inside, it means that there's going to be a violent, volatile breakout, either to the upside or to the downside. But what direction is it going to go? Now I'm going to show you something for this week for the DXY. You see that we have here as resistance, we have here also as resistance and a little bit of support here. So this area is a major area for us to have a look at. I'm not saying that the price cannot still go back to the highs over here. That's also a possibility. You can go back to the highs, even break it, use it as a launching pad and push higher. But then we have this area as untested, right? Most times I like when the market pulls back to an untested area, fills orders, and then pushes higher. So always good for you to have a directional bias, but also have behind you that the market could go the other way as well. So as we are looking forward to the market, hopefully, preferably dropping over here for buyers to jump in on the DXY, that simply means that as an example, for the Euro USD, because you also need to take note of all the currency pairs that are highly correlated, that are associated with the DXY. The Euro USD, as an example, right? If you look at the Euro USD as an example, you're going to notice something now as we switch it to the Euro USD. You're going to notice something here. You're going to notice that the Euro USD is also painting a wedge. Interesting. You notice that the dollar index was painting a wedge on the 4-hour time frame. We're using the 4-hour time frame because it gives us more clarity based for this week, for the weekly market analysis that we are discussing right now. So on this Euro USD, as we have right in front of us, you'll notice something. You notice that it looks like it's trying to break to the upside, right? You can see it's already here. It has 1 and 2. For you to draw a diagonal line, you need 2 points. For you to draw a horizontal line, you need just 1 point. So this diagonal line here, you have 2 points here, and this one you have 2 points here. Now it looks like it wants to push higher. Now the question is it going to break out from here, retest, and then push to this area here, which is a key area of interest, as you can see on the chart, based on previous areas of support, and resistance? Is this going to be tested this week? If that is going to be the case, right, especially because we are also paying attention to the DXY, if that is going to be the case, then you could either look for an entry inside this wedge. On this 4 hours time frame, you could drop down to a lower time frame and try and get a discounted entry, discounted price to get in, or you could simply wait for a breakout and then a pullback to that broken trend line, to this broken diagonal line. Look for an entry somewhere here and then push it higher. This would also be something to take into consideration for the Euro USD. And then when we look at the rest of the, like, pound USD as an example, right? Because for pound USD, it's usually similar. I repeat, pound USD is usually similar to the Euro USD. So this is the pound USD here. Now look at what's happening with the pound USD. You clearly see, right, that we also have this area here of interest, support. So this is an area of interest as well, just like the Euro USD. And remember, just like the DXY, where we said our directional bias for the DXY is down. That means that for Euro USD and pound, we're expecting it to go up. Now, this one is painting a slightly different pattern, more or less. It's painting a falling flag pattern. It's painting a falling channel over here. Now it's at the bottom of this channel where you'll be expecting buyers to come in. And also, this could also clearly be a divergence over here as the price is dropping. If you are one that uses like RSI or uses MACD, any of the oscillators, most likely this would be a divergence play here. Now, mind you, if you're looking forward to buying over here, it simply means that you're going against this trend, right? So you need to also understand the directional bias. Meanwhile, if you want to sell, with this trend, this is the area to look forward to, meaning that you're expecting the price to push higher to this area, and then the buyers from here would exchange hands and hand over to the sellers that will jump in over here and maybe probably take it back down, because this area, it seems to be an untested area of what? An untested area of resistance. So this is how we're going to be looking at the market over here for the cable, the GBPUSD. Looking at the likes of the gold as an example, XAU USD, looking at gold over here, what can we see, right? If we switch over to the chart, you notice that for gold over here, it has been, the first thing we need to pay attention is the trend. It has given us a full blast to the upside. This is fully an uptrend, a bullish market. So the next thing we also need to pay attention to is levels where the price needs to retest. Now, one thing also is that most times, or sometimes, or will I say most of the times rather, the USD index and gold, they tend to move in opposite directions. But if you look at this gold and then you look at the DXY, or let's even look at it from the 4 hours time frame. Look at the DXY from the 4 hours time frame. You can see for a while has been in an uptrend, and then gold too has also been in an uptrend. So that means that that correlation has more or less been broken. So what are we looking at here on gold? The best thing is to trade gold as gold. Now, we have some areas here, key areas over here that price should pull back to. It should pull back to those areas. If you're going to add the Fibonacci, it's one of the tools I like to add. Fibonacci from this swing low all the way to this swing high. You notice that the key areas here of 38.2, it matches with this area here for confluence, and even 61.8. We don't really have any confluence for 50, but 61.8, you can see we have something here and something also here as well. So what does that mean? That means that it would be a good one for us to start looking for CT trades. That is counter trend trades. That is if you are a seller. If you are a buyer, I'll prefer price to get back to 38.2. 61.8 is a long way down, so I'll wait to see the reaction when it hopefully gets to 38.2. So that means that I'm looking forward to price most likely pulling back here to test. You can see the 1 and the 2. Remember we said we need 2 points in order to what? Excuse me. We need 2 points in order to pick our diagonal line, our trend line. So if we have this now, we'll just like it pull back to this area here. You could even pull back to this area here. That could easily, if you look at it very well, could act as left shoulder, head. Some of you might know this pattern, and then maybe pull back to this area here. That could now act as right shoulder. So this could easily be a head and shoulder pattern in the making. If this is the case on the 4 hours time frame, don't forget this is our weekly market analysis. If this is the analysis on this time frame and this happens, then we should look forward for selling positions here with a small stop loss just above the left shoulder that hopefully should drop all the way to 38.2. Trust me, this will give us good pips if this should happen. So take note of this. You could easily have like over 2,000 pips if you hold it from this right shoulder. So this is what we are looking at here, because the technicals have told us what we might probably have here. So this is the weekly market analysis, and we're looking at a few instruments based on the DXY. We've looked at the EURUSD, we looked at the pounds, we looked at now the gold, and then we're going to also look at what? We're going to also look at the Bitcoin. The Bitcoin is one where a lot has been happening as well with the Bitcoin. You can see we've had our levels marked as well. And you can see it is more or less getting to the area of interest. Now, where's the area of interest? We've marked this area here as key areas of support and resistance. As you can see, support here. You can see some resistance here, support here, some resistance here. Now you can see the big 4 hours candle is pulling back. And then we have this area here. You can see this point that we have marked to draw your diagonals. You can see price is pulling back to that area. So anywhere in this area, start looking for price action. I prefer when it hits the trend line, as this is also a big bullish candle pushing to the upside. When it hits this trend line, you can start looking for your trigger. Your trigger could easily, since it's a sell, and look very well, this also has confluence with the 50 Fibonacci retracement level. This is also one that a lot of crypto traders are looking forward to. Apart from being a buy and hold trader, there are always opportunities to sell in the market as well. And this clearly is one of them, right? So if you look at what we have right in front of us, what we are expecting now is to get some price action trigger here and the likes of the bearish hammer, also known as the bearish pin bar, or it could even be the bearish engulfing, or it could even be like a doji or whatever candle formation. It could even be a W pattern or an M pattern or something over here. You could even drop down to a lower time frame. This is the 4 hours time frame. You could draw down to a lower time frame or whatever the case might be. Look for an entry here and then look to sell back to the lows of this month. Don't forget this is 4 hours time frame and we're doing this based on the weekly market analysis. So if this is the case, this could be some good pips for us to take advantage of. Now, as we've talked about all of these instruments, now what you need to do is to share your bias with us. Tell us what you think, whether it's respect to the Euro USD or whether it's respect to the pounds USD or gold or Bitcoin, right? Share your bias with us. Leave a comment in the description below. And then also in the description, I'm going to leave a link for those that are interested in learning how to trade for beginners. I'm going to leave a link for a school, our school, the CSA Forex School. And I'm also going to leave a link for you to book a call so that you can reach out to us and then also, uh, uh, you know, have a discussion on the market, where your trading is and probably where your trading needs to be if you need any assistance whatsoever. Now, with that said, I want to say thank you guys for joining us. If you're joining us for the first time, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up, right? So over to you in the comment section, and we'll be back with more information. Thank you guys. Best of luck in the trading week and trade safely. Cheers.